Hello, this is Danny Dean at Dynamic Signs Design in Rice Lake, Wisconsin, with a video tutorial on how to carve HDU foam letters and gild them with 23 karat gold leaf. And this involves high density urethane foam. It's 18 pound foam. It's a ½ inch thick, and it's pretty dense. And we're going to use this foam to carve some letters. And then we're going to use a gold leaf process of gilding these letters. First thing you do is cut your vinyl, computer cut vinyl, apply it to the foam, and then take a hand jigsaw, or like we got, a scroll saw, and cut these letters out on a scroll saw. You're going to need to go in and smooth out the imperfections on the edge there, because they're never quite perfect. Once you got the letters cut, we started on the carving process, and this is kind of extensive, pretty intense. And unlike a lot of guys that might use chisels to do this, these are relief carved, bevel carved letters. And so we found it to just be a lot more easier to take some rough sandpaper like this, spray it with some adhesive, then you stick a bunch of paint sticks, or these are really handy to get in tight corners, little popsicle sticks. Stick them to the sandpaper. Then you take and, with a technical knife here, once they're stuck to the paper, just trim them out real tight with a technical knife, and then you've got a nice paint stick that has real rough sandpaper on it. And that's what we're doing, is we're beveling these letters over. Now, the thin strokes just can't be as deep as the side strokes. The side strokes of the lettering here, those are cut down pretty deep, almost a quarter of an inch down on the side. But the narrow strokes here aren't quite as deep. As you can see, they're not quite as deep of a bevel on there. Sometimes you try to get them pretty deep when you get really narrow like this. You know, you gotta try to angle that thing down and get it a little bit more angled, more of a steep bevel to it. But you're trying to strive towards uniformity and consistency as you're carving these things. And then you work up from, you get everything done like this with a 60 grit, then you go down to a more of an 80 or 100 grit right here to smooth that out, and then you finish up with a 320 grit, which makes them really nice and smooth, like this guy here. See how nice and smooth that is? So when you go to put your size on there and your sealer and your gold leaf, you're going to have a nice looking letter. As smoother you get it, the better gild you're going to get. So there we have the concepts of how to do all these letters right here. And then we're going to be an ongoing thing here and show you how to mount them on the surface and how to get the gilding done and everything in time. So from Dynamic Signs Design, signing off. And here we are at Dynamic Signs Design in Rice Lake, Wisconsin, with our next installment of how to carve gold letters out of high density urethane foam, hand carved gold letters that are made from 18 pound sign foam, ½ inch thick. And then we have carved them with sandpaper sticks, finished them up, And then now we have applied the gold sealer on here. This is a gold sealer that's made by Dux Primer Sealer, and it's yellow just like the gold, and it's self-leveling oil-based sealer that goes over the bare letters after you sand those letters really smooth with 320 grit sandpaper. You've got them all nice, and then you take and with a oil base, with an oil enamel sign painter brush or some other kind of appropriate oil brush, small oil brush like this. This is your small lettering brush here, right here. You apply the sealer. We can do 2 coats. You can do one coat, but you got to wait 4 hours before you do another coat, and then you want to wait overnight till the next day before you start putting on the size. The size is actually what causes the gold leaf to adhere. So that's what this is: Dux slow size, gilding size, and it's clear. Normally when your substrate or your letter is not gold, and you need to make sure that you can see this size as it's being brushed on there, sometimes we'll add yellow enamel to the size here. In this case, the letter's already yellow. I got a nice light on me here. I can see everything really well. As long as I get it nice and wet, every edge of every letter, lay this on there, just dip it in there, use it full strength out of the can, lay it on there full wet, and then lay the letter down. 12 hours later, it will achieve its perfect tack. This is a slow set gilding size, which means it's going to be 12 hours before it's ready to accept gold leaf. And it's critical that you get it at the right time. You don't want to go too early. You don't want to go too late, because if you go too late, it'll be too dry to adhere the gold. If you go too early, it won't get as brilliant as it should be. So it's really a critical thing here. You don't rush yourself when you're doing this kind of gilding on carved letters. So now it's the end of the day, about 6 o'clock at night. So tomorrow, about 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to be laying gold leaf on these letters. So this is the last step before the gold leaf goes on, and it'll be 14 hours. Oh, and takes you 12 hours minimum before it reaches the proper tack. But then it's designed to hold that tack for another 10 hours, so that if you got a whole ton of stuff to gild, you've got 10 hours more, 12 hours more to still get your work done if you have a huge amount of stuff to gild that takes too much time. You can even add more stuff, more oil. You can even add more oil to this size and get another 12 hours if you really need to slow it way, way down. So there you have it with the important factors of how to do this. And here's our letters that are all shiny, and they've had size put on them, and they're going to be beautiful as can be. Whenever you take gold leaf and put it on something that's not flat, it looks like $1,000,000, and I really love it. So we'll talk more when we get these done and we're ready to mount them to our main sign. Bye-bye for now, Dynamic Signs Design. So we have the double-sided nails into the surface, the sharpest side pointing out, dullest side going in, and then we've taken the letter with silicone on the back and pushed it down over those letters so it lines up with the pattern here. And that's how you get those things lined up, and the pins with the nails with the heads clipped off are your guide to go down there, and the nails grab that letter just good enough to get it nice and tight to the surface. And that's the way this is done. So we'll be back with a finished sign for you from Dynamic Signs Design.